Good evening, everyone, and welcome in Conversations at the Crossroads. Today, we have our esteemed guest, Tulshii Naik. But before I bring him in the stream, let me share something with you. Observe and act. Don't just keep watching. Observing is a way of thriving in life. In this school of life, to gain wisdom, one should master the art of observation and act. A few points to develop that skill. Expand your comfort zone. Observe things around you. Have focus. Be in the present. Travel. But while traveling, explore. Don't get yourself immersed into your mobile phone. Because when you explore and when you travel, it improves your neuron connections within your brains. You also can play a game of gratitude because every night before you sleep, try and recall all the things that has happened throughout the day and be grateful about it. Now, this will give your brain a holistic exercise in areas of memory, working memory, analysis, reasoning, and affirmations. Finally, there is no such thing as being lucky. It's your dedication and preparation and the skills that meet the right opportunity. Hello, everyone. This is Sagar Amlani, and welcome to In Conversations at the Crossroad. Today's guest, Tulshii Naik, is a very dear friend and also a director for food and beverages at one of the esteemed groups, Accor Hotels. He is currently based in Hyderabad. Right bang opposite to Hyderabad is Novotel Hotel, and where he is based right now. As his passion, he is also a photographer. He strongly believes in life, personally or professionally, there are no win or lose. Instead, you either celebrate or you learn. As a professional, he agrees that robust processes achieve targeted results. He is exceptionally resourceful when it comes to involving in effective procedures or establishing service standards or even operational policies. And that is why his track record has proven time and again that whichever role he takes, he excels in that. He is skilled in providing service, operations, understanding clients, and also bringing cost effective measures to do the cost control, which is the most important thing in a hotel industry or for that matter in any industry. He ensures that he works and builds teams to ensure service is the most prior and service is the most core of every team. He also applies his creative ability by using photography as a tool. He creates content for his business, for his people around, and he also loves documenting life and travels through the photography journey. So he carries his camera wherever he is. If camera, he also has his smartphone with him. So he lives his life. He is full of passion. He is able to create craft and experience for hotel guests and everybody around because he believes that the true experience of a hotelier lies in food and beverages. So if you can offer a good dining experience, there's a big difference between a good and a great experience. He efficiently balances work life balance by taking out time to meet his passion and his family needs. Let's welcome Tulshii Naik. Hi Tulsi, how are you?
Hey Sagar, how are you? I'm very good, thank
Thank
you.
you very much for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much for a wonderful introduction. This is something I also cannot introduce myself so efficiently as you have done.
You deserve it, sir. You deserve it. So thank you very much for being on the show. So now when we talk about photography, food and beverages, and your tenure in the food and beverages industry, in the hotel industry, Would you like to just highlight us something about how you're dealing with things right now in COVID, with the industry, with food and beverages, before we get on with the show?
Yes, certainly. So, like, times are tough for everyone, and it's very difficult to get things going. But what is most important, what I have discovered and what I'm intending to do that, because people are kind of losing the positivity, energy, and enthusiasm. So, as a leader, when you are in a leadership role, be it personally or professionally, like when you are a breadwinner of the family, then you are leader of your family, right? And when you
Absolutely.
are in a leadership role, that means you are leader of your team. So, in both way, you need to ensure that we pump in as much energy, enthusiasm, and most importantly, positivity, because that is what I am observing that it is lacking. And one of the major contributor to that is social media these days, which is supposed to be used positively, but unfortunately it is being used negatively. And there are a lot of posts going around, and then the the biggest worrying factor is we don't even know what is the validation of that. And
Sure.
that worries me a lot, that without any validation, people tend to believe that. So that is something I am emphasizing a lot to educate people surrounding me, that do not go in anything without having any validation, because you don't really know what information you are getting, whether it is true, right? Like at workplace as well, you are from the engineering industry, and when we explore something, we do not believe until we validate with various research paper, or to some extent we do trial first, right? And then once we see
Absolutely.
the result, then we validate that, okay, fine, this process, this product, it is good enough to be implemented. So that same principle we need to apply in our life now. First validate the information, then believe.
Wow. Well said. First validate and then believe. So in this time, in this era of COVID, where things are being, you're bombarded on social media with so many news, don't forward them. First validate and then believe it, or then use it. Thank you, Tulsi. That was such a wonderful thing that you shared with us today. So how do you motivate your team right now?
Motivation is keep them positive, and you have to be with them, and that is something I am doing right now. I mean, it's one of my always been a forte to be with the team. And just do not talk anything related to what is happening. Like if you remember, when we first met, I told two statements. There are two situations in our life, one which is in your control and one which is not in your control. So when the
Right.
situation is in your control, you take the action, you define the process, and you strive for the result. But the situation which is not in your control, at least you control your response, because that is within you. And the response you can do is that by ignoring, by not forwarding, as you rightly said, by not listening at all. So you can control your response to stay motivated.
Brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you very much. So now moving on with our questions for the day. What does crossroads mean to you?
So crossroad for me, I'll define in little differently. If you crossroad is something, if you want to excel, if you want to grow, then you have to build your crossroad, and then from that crossroad you decide how do you want to proceed. For example, if you are going in one path, and you say that this path is working for me or this path isn't working for me, and let's imagine you say that this part isn't working for me, but then you still chose to just go through that part by believing that nothing is going to happen to me. I've just been like that. I cannot do anything. So then you just accept that, and you keep moving ahead. But then if you do not accept that, and you say that no, I can definitely do much better than this, I meant to do better than this, then you tend to stop yourself and create crossroad for yourself. So when you create crossroad for yourself, you create the options for you. that you have one left, one right, one forward, and then one backward. But then in the backward, you already gone through that part of the crossroad. Like each crossroad has four wings, right? So you already gone through that one of the wing of the crossroad. So you apply your experience, your learnings from that wing, and then out of those three other wings, you choose one that which would take you ahead in your life, personally and professionally both. So this is what how I would define crossroads.
Wow, trust me, I've done 11 episodes till now, and this was a very unique explanation that you gave, that crossroad basically is an option you create for yourself when you seek growth, when you want to excel in something, when you want to grow in life, when you want to do something better in life, you create crossroads for yourself. Of course, there are certain situations in life where you come across a crossroad which is created by nature, but most of the time, as you rightly said, we have a choice. We have a choice to make that decision, create that crossroad, think about the various options, and go. And that is only possible when you have the hunger to excel. Very well said, Tulsi. Very well said. Thank you very much for giving that perspective of what crossroads mean to you. That's amazing. Great. So now, as you know, the ritual of the show, I always ask the guest to share one story, be it personal or professional, of their journey where they were at a crossroad, and what was that incident, what was that story, how did they feel when they were at the crossroads, and what did they do. The reason for me to ask that question to all the guests is because it's a collective learning that I want to bring through the show. So this question is very important, where we will deep dive in your life through you and experience your journey. So over to you. Please share one story, one incident of your crossroad in life, and what did you do in that situation?
So I have two major crossroads in my life. Then I'll share both one after another. So my educational background is after I completed my 10th, I wanted to go into engineering because that is something always interested me to do research and trials and error. And as a school kid as well, I rather spend more time doing some R&D at home than actually going out and playing with my friends. So that is something I always wanted to do. So after my 10th, I did textile engineering, and then I chose designing part of the textile industry to make it as a career. I worked for around a year and a half or almost 2 years, but did not get the desired success I wanted to. And then every day I would come back from home and then sit with my parents, and I'll say my unhappy moments about the work. Today this happened, that happened, and so I literally felt that not growing anything, not doing anything. So my mother, she's actually been a great motivator and inspirer in my life, and she's been pushing me throughout my professional growth and the personal growth both. So then she used to say, "Don't come home and cry. If you are not happy with this, you are still too young. Do something else." So she always used to say like that. I always wonder what else can be done, what else can be done, and then somehow through a friend of mine, the concept came to make career in the hotel industry and go abroad and study. But we did not have a financial ability to do that. So I hesitate to say this to my parents because I know for a fact that we couldn't afford that education. But
Right.
then somehow the message reached to my parents without me telling
Okay.
them. I think my friend
Okay.
must have told. I don't really know how yet. So then my parents said that it is up to you. If you want, don't worry about financial. We'll fix it. But if you want to go ahead and then do it. But then one thing we can tell you that this will be it, because we will put a lot of things at stake to sponsor your education, but then that will be all. So after that you're on
Wow.
your own. Then you make it or break it, it's up to you. So then I'll tell you very honestly, I was a little hesitant for a second because it was a big decision to make. Because when
True.
somebody is telling you that this is your give it or leave it opportunity, and then After that, you're on your own, and it's a huge money. I mean, even if I think about that moment now also, that how my parents ran around and collected the money, it was very difficult. So that was
Sure.
one of the biggest crossroad. And then we all took collective decision that okay, let's go for it. And my parents said, believe in my ability. I had believe in my ability, and then I went. And then things went somewhere according to plan, sometimes not according to, but slowly, gradually, through learning, experiences, struggle, and I am where I am now. And so that was the first crossroad. So initially, when I went to UK, I used to feel that did I make right decision, because life in the UK is not that easy, and I'm sure you would definitely agree with me. And but then every time I would think that why I have come here, it would remind me the sentences of my parents that will make you go. You can don't worry about the financials, but after that, you that's all on your own. So then that thing kept me motivated, that I have come here for a purpose. I need to solve that purpose. And due to which that one sentence, it's kept me motivated, and I could able to finish my education, and then got a decent job, get great experience. So that was one crossroad of my life. And the second crossroad, that's when I made decision to come back to India. That I was doing very well in my professional career in UK. I had a very good job, and by then I had blessed by a little girl as well. She was just over 1 year, and
Wow.
all of a sudden I decided that I need to move back to India, because I don't know, there was something uncomforting me, that I don't want to see my daughter growing the way I had struggled and the way I had seen the surroundings me. So that time it was little tough for me to move back to India to look for the job, because in the hotel industry I've never worked in India before. So every time I
Right.
will apply for a job in India, I will be always told that you not worked in India before. You are an engineering student, went to UK and did your hotel management. Then how you are going to work in India? But that is
The
where
acceptance is difficult.
acceptance is very very hard. So that time, every time I would give my interview, I used to tell that it's all about process, and the process of serving a customer, it remains the same all across the globe, no matter which industry you are. It just you have to adapt. So as long as you are adaptable, you can work anywhere. But it was very tough for me to convince employers, but somehow then I found at least this role at Novotel. Then I actually that time went against a lot of people around me, including few very personal people, that why you want to move back? You have a very good job, and etc. etc. I said no. I made my decision. After that, whatever happens, I'm sure it will happen good. But I'm not staying here anymore. I'll move back. And then I moved back, and then to be honest, it's been a great journey ever since I have moved back to India. No regrets on my decision, because I always believe that once you made the decision, you have to just make it happen. You can't regret that why did I take that decision.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I totally correlate with that is because you know I was much in a similar situation where my parents actually staked out everything. Forget about parents. I had other people lending me money and putting a stake on me where I had to go on in UK and deliver. And I can totally understand the pressure that you would have gone through because taking money is one thing, but studying, taking money, and again repaying that money or actually making worth of that money and studying with that pressure is absolutely very, very tough. So kudos to you. And as you rightly said, that when you're earning money there in pounds, coming back in India, I again reconnect with you there with the same empathies because I learned, I worked as a waiter, bartender, litter picker, and many other jobs. But one thing I would still remember and I would recall it here is the hotel industry there. I loved working there in the hotel industry as a waiter because it made me learn so many things. Now, today, if you ask me a three-course meal, And the setup of that 3 course meal, I know it. A 5 course meal, I know it. And even a 7 course meal, I know it, because where should the spoon, the fork, the knife has to be laid out. What does cross knife mean? What does straight knife mean? I mean, I've learned so many things in terms of etiquette. Now, I was just in a waiter job. I could have ignored, or I could have felt ashamed of doing that job and all that stuff. Instead, I picked up good things from that. I thought of learning new things in that: how to serve, how to pick up the dishes, how to greet customers. So many things that you learn if you're in the right spirit of learning. So very well said that nothing in life goes waste, and you need to have the right mindset to learn it. And once you've made a decision, there is no looking back. It's just way forward, and trust yourself and boost yourself. So thank you very much for sharing that with us. But I would still ask you one more question from the story
Yeah.
that you shared. That, while you came back, and even I faced the same situation. So I wanted that to be shared with the audience. The acceptance is very different, because when you come from abroad, the first criteria is you're earning in pounds. Your earning is definitely higher than what you would get in India. That's one blockage. Second blockage comes the mindset, the culture, and the system, because the systems there in UK, back in London or UK, wherever, they're much more organized in terms of the hotel industry, wherein not every hotel here in India is organized that way, right? Even when you go for a small event there, even in the smallest restaurant, they do have hotel etiquettes. But here it's not like that. It changes from hotel to hotel and systems to systems. So how did you deal with that culture shock, one? And how did you deal with that shock where people were not accepting you? What were your feelings in that phase?
My first 6 months actually were a tough nightmare because though I knew the operational part of it, but as you rightly said, the mindset, the people part of it took me little while to get adjusted. But the only thing which I did that I listened to everybody, because that is what people like you to do. If you listen to them, then you are a good man. If you don't listen to them, and if you try to say something, then they will say, like in my case, if I go very aggressively at the day one, then they'll say, from where this guy he has come, he doesn't know anything, and he's trying to teach me. So that is something I was fortunately enough to observe in my very first week through couple of incidents that I need to take it slow. So I started
Yes.
listening more than executing. And in order to do that, I also got criticized as well that we hired you from abroad. We expect you to do deliver more, but you are not speaking anything. You are just listening. So I know that in my mind what I was doing, but then I was just portraying that yeah, I'm still taking little time to get used to, and allow me some more time and etc. So I've gone through that kind of when we have our initial appraisals, I've gone through that criticism that we don't see any new process implementation from you. I said, yeah, it's fine. It will take some time, but I'm still trying to adapt.
Trying
And
to adapt.
in fast-paced generation, 6 months are actually a long time. But the one key message I can say that I will listen more than I actually delivered.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely bang on. And I think this message goes out to every single listener who is either changing job, or to the students who are trying to get into a new job. Don't try to run before you can even walk. Yes, you might know the technology very well, but there's something which is also called as people management. And when you are in a role, and in a leadership role, when you have to take care of people around you, it's definitely worth to observe and then connect with people. The most important thing as a leader is for you to connect with your team. And Tulsi, you rightly said that, just by being a silent observer, you are observing people, you are trying to assimilate the culture, their mindset, their working style. And then when you bulldoze your way, or then when you put your way forward with suggestions and with changes, they would accept you with wholeheartedness, is because you've become a part of their team, and then you're working with them as a team leader. So kudos, well said and well done. Thank you very much. And no doubt your team appreciates you so much, and you have so much respect, which I've seen with personally seen and experienced it myself.
Thank you.
So coming to the next question, you definitely shared your learning, and that was really, really amazing. So now coming to a question which we talk about the book, of course, in Conversations at the Crossroads. So the book is At the Crossroads of Life, which I was blessed enough with the grace of God and friends who supported me to write this book, and also get endorsement from key leaders like Marshall Goldsmith, Ron Kaufman, Kalpesh, Tanvi, Gautam, and Chetan Mahajan, and many amazing people reviewing the book. So, what is your favorite chapter from that book?
If I have to note down my one favorite chapter, it is actually chapter number 1, where you have written the stress is beneficial, and that actually relates to the entire book, because just imagine the conversation what we have been having for last 20 minutes or so. There is one thing very common between both of us and then the book as well, that because we put into some time of stressful situation, because we are pushed to do better,
Yes.
it actually benefits us. It just as individual that how we define that. So like I said, that my perspective of crossroad, that on a flat road, if you get stuck, if you want to go excel, you have to create crossroad for yourself, and that stress actually makes you create that crossroad.
Lovely, lovely, absolutely. So I think this is I think the third or the fourth guest who has appreciated the first chapter, and I give kudos to my editor Ganesh, who has put the story in such a nice way. I also give kudos to LinkedIn Local and Sulekha, where we got together and she inspired me or got me into a conversation to write the book, and moreover to my parents. So thank you very much for bringing that up. And now that we are in that journey, now I know that you have struggled in the same way. Crossroads, as you rightly said, is nothing but the option that you create for yourself when you want to grow. Only when you have the right mindset to grow is when you will think of different options, and those options will invariably become crossroads for you, where you will have to choose. But once you select, once you take a forward, trust yourself and go ahead with full speed. So that's an amazing learning for today. So, as
I
a
would like
closing note,
to add one more thing.
sure, please.
See, there is one thing I have learned, and then I practice to implement as much as possible, that there is no one can actually force you to do anything, because the final decision it lies with you. And that's I, because sometimes as a normal human being we always say and we always complain that because of this I did that, because of that I did that, but the
Yes,
last decision it lies with you. You can choose to say yes, no,
abs-
or ignore. So nobody
yeah,
can force you to do anything. It is just us, I as an individual, we do that. We just have to take the accountability of our own actions.
absolutely. Very well said. And that also brings me to one point that I learned it from somewhere, that, when you point to others that they did it for me or they did it, it's actually the three fingers that are pointing towards you,
Correct. Correct.
right? So the ownership lies with us. So if you have taken a decision, ownership is with you. And if you haven't taken a decision, the ownership is still on with you. Is because it's you that was stopping you to take that action, or it's you who will take that action. Lovely, lovely note to end such a wonderful conversation. So, any parting comments, anything that you want to share as a final message to the viewers, to the listeners on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, as from your side?
I would like to just say one thing, just stay positive, and before you, especially in this time, before you circulate any information, please, my humble request, validate before you do so, because you never know, it can create panic, chaos, and whatever. It can be a good information as well, but filter that down. And I know we are not the expert, but just put little bit of informations before they go anywhere else. And be with your family, stay safe, and stay indoor as much as possible. That is what I would like to end my show with.
Lovely, Tulsi. And yes, Vijay Lakshmi rightly said and recorded it for us. Validate and then believe and then share whatever information you want to do. And as a ritual, every time I request everyone, please do a collective prayer, sit with your family, do a small prayer, and let that prayer go out in universe to help everyone who is suffering right now or who is working at the front line. And this is the least we can do sitting here. If you want to donate something, please feel free to do so. If you have doubts that where your money is going or you don't know where to donate, you can always reach out to me. I can get you in touch with people who are doing tiffin services for people who are COVID or families who are infected with COVID and they're not able to cook food. I know people directly. I will give you their numbers. You can go check, validate, and then pay the amount. That is the least we can do sitting in the comfort of our home, even though I'm sure most of us are impacted some or the other way, directly or indirectly, with this pandemic. So please don't forget to do collective prayers and send the energy outside. Thank you very much for joining us. And with this, the whole team or the whole event is coming to an end where we had 5, 6, 7, 8 May, where we had Kumar Achinta, Lokesh Natani, Shweta Oja, and Tulsi Naik for this whole week. I'm sure I'll come back soon with many more guests from next week and going forward. This will continue. The show in conversations at the crossroads will continue with your blessings. If you have a story to share and if you would like to be a part of this show, please connect with me on LinkedIn. Thank you very much for joining and take care. Stay safe.